Okay, hello and welcome to Critical Conversations. Let me do that. Very classic Critical Conversations. Mic check. We're on, baby. Okay, sorry, you guys. I still just get so nervous when I'm recording by myself because for those of you who haven't been listening and following along, there was I don't even know how many podcasts, maybe 6 podcast episodes that I had recorded, and they all got lost because I didn't have my mic on. So PTSD from that. I'm always doing mic checks. Now, it's funny because over the last couple weeks, I've had a lot of people be like, well, you have a podcast, and they want to listen, which is amazing. But I find myself being like, yeah, there's a huge learning curve with my microphone. And even now, I listen back to some of the episodes and I'm like, damn, I'm so sorry, you guys. So here's what I want to say. I want to say thank you for riding this wave with me. I want to say I know I'm a mouth breather. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm human and that I am a mouth breather. I struggle here anytime I'm anywhere else, I'm super healthy. But if I am in Oregon, which is where I am when I record all these episodes, I struggle with allergies. So you guys are usually always hearing me sniffle or hold in a sneeze or whatever. Because I simply am basically allergic to my life here in Oregon. I do the very best I can through acupuncture, through natural medicine. I really don't take allergy medicine every day anymore. So we've made leaps and bounds. A lot of GI support and health. We eat a lot of farm to table, local stuff. I try not to put any food in plastic, even plastic baggies. I'm the weird lady who's just throwing the fresh food in her cart, no bags, no nothing, because I don't need it to touch any more plastic, and I don't want more plastic. So anyways, I just wanted to say that. And it's actually super interesting because before I pressed record, I was like, okay, what do I want to talk about today? And I have a list, on my desk here of all these different topics that I want to talk about, people I want to interview, things I want to get into. And some of you who have written in or sent me text or an email about what you want to hear, I have those all written down. So I'm kind of ticking things off. But today I want to talk about something that is very fresh on my heart and on my mind. And I think that this is a beautiful timing for this because what it feels like energetically as all these astrological things are transitioning and we're, eclipse this and new moon that and blah, 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 whatever. None of that matters, except for it does. Because what's happening right now is the energy is moving. And when energy is moving, it's opportunity for us to also move with the energy or against the energy or just keep living unconsciously and doing what we're doing. So I want to talk about this theme of self-love. And really what I want to talk about is radical self-love. So I've mentioned in a previous podcast episode, it may or may not have hit you guys yet. But it really starts with you, all of the healing, to be a better parent, to be a better partner, to be a better person in the workplace, to feel better in your life, to feel better in your body. I swear, a huge portion of my physical ailments, so my physical reaction to my environment, was part of my healing process. And so the moment I decided to get curious about healing my body and the physical things, right, like itchy throat, sneezing, snotting, watery eyes, I don't even know, back pain, stomach pain, GI issues, seriously, severe GI issues where I'm zapped of energy. I can't even go out, having to cancel plans, feeling like shit all the time, wondering why I'm so lethargic, in my early 20s, you guys, so lethargic, what the heck, I should be at the bar. Anyways, I swear that part of that path, and when I finally discovered quote unquote true healing, was the moment I decided to get curious about who is Karissa, what does Karissa like to do, how does Karissa like to spend her time, who does Karissa like to spend her time with, and I really started to deep dive Karissa. And what happened when I started to do that is the idea of love. What is love? What is love to me? How do I feel love? How do I like to receive love? It started to unfold a curiosity into my healing. And I think it's so interesting how the universe kind of lines things up. So, why am I talking about this today? Well, yesterday I woke up and I wasn't feeling awesome. I had been sick like 2 weeks ago. Then Ruby got sick like days after I got better. And then now Nigel's sick days after Ruby gets better. I don't know. It always goes like this in our house. Somebody gets sick and then it takes a couple days and then the next person, a couple days and then the next person, which in some regard is kind of nice because we're not all sick at once and we can help take care of each other, which I think is really beautiful. But I woke up yesterday and I was just like, oh my God, I'm so sick of being sick. Like, I'm sick of people in my house being sick. We're on like week 2 of this. I'm over it. And of course, like, you know, I'm the caregiver, right, to Ruby. And I'm a caregiver to my partner, and I choose that role. I love that role. You know, I think that there are moments where we take care of each other. I know when I was sick, Nigel was taking care of me, bringing me tea, bringing me tissues, bringing me, you know, fresh homemade soup. So it's like, it's what we like to do. We take care of each other. And it's not a role that I like resent by any means, because it genuinely brings me joy to know that I'm helping someone. And it genuinely brings me joy to know that, like, simple, kind things like tea to your bedside, a fresh ice water, like, that's so simple and it's so easy and it's not super time consuming. But I woke up yesterday and I was like, I'm over it. I'm over it. And I went out to the farm and I was sitting there with my horses and I was like, all I do is run around and care for everyone. And I had like this little smidgen of a moment where I went into this victim mode. And I was just like, fuck everyone. Like, Nigel wants me to stop at the store and Ruby wants to know where I am. And then these fucking horses are sitting here. All of them, all 4 of them are just sitting there staring at me. And I had all 3 dogs and I had to take Fowler to a chiropractic appointment. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, what about me, guys? Like, I literally think I said to my horses, I think I literally was like, what the fuck, you guys? What about me? And so I had this moment where I was just a total victim. And I just felt like I'm doing everything for everyone all the time. But then I sat down. And instead of opening up my phone, instead of going on social media, instead of like continuing the sabotage, I just looked up at our oak tree in our front yard here at the farm. And I was just like, wow, this is fucking beautiful. And like, in that moment, just giving myself a moment to breathe and change my perspective, right? So I went from looking like looking with my head straight, you know, parallel to the ground, or looking down, to looking up. And I just started watching the leaves blow in the wind. It's starting to turn into fall. It's still like 80 degrees out, but it's windier. Some of the leaves are changing. And I look up and I'm just watching this tree move. And I'm like, huh, this moment's for me. How radical is that? This moment is for me. And then I was like, what do you want right now? And I was like, I want a cider. So I went inside and got myself a cider, came back out, sat back down, opened my cider, grabbed my laptop because I was like determined. Yesterday, I was so determined. I had all these emails I needed to respond to that I've been like so overwhelmed and just not like feeling super good. And I don't believe in like forcing work when you don't feel good. So I'm like, I'm not responding until I feel awesome. But I was like, oh, I have to respond today, kind of a thing. So I opened this cider. I'm sitting there. The oak trees, you know, it's windy. It's beautiful. I'm breathing. I'm kind of changing my mind about how I feel, wanting to get out of that victim mode. And I open my laptop and I'm like, okay, who do I write an email to first? And then I was like, I don't want to fucking write an email. And I closed my laptop and I leaned back in the chair and I drank my cider. And I was 10 minutes late for Fowler's chiropractor appointment. But that's self-love, you guys. It's that simple. Self-love is just giving yourself enough space to be like, what do I need? Right now, in this moment, what do I need? Because here's the reality. It's not always going to be perfect. I really don't believe that there's such a thing as balance. I think that there's harmony. I think that there's choices we make. I think that we can either be, conscious creators where we're thinking and we're participating because we're setting intentions and we're changing habits and we're doing more of what aligns, with where we want to go and less of what doesn't. But that's self-love. To say, I'm going to just sit and change my perspective. And I know how easy it is to get distracted. I know how easy it is to pick up your phone and get on Instagram. And what you do in those moments is you actually self-sabotage. And I think that it's like 10 times detrimental to be on social media when you don't feel good. Like, I literally delete the app when I'm sick, and I try so hard not to be on the app at all when I'm sick, because when you don't feel good, the initial feeling that happens when you get on social media is you start feeling worse. Because why? Because you already don't feel good, and then you're ingesting all of this like other shit about either other people's lives. So you start to get jealous, or you start to get resentful, or you start to get envious, or you're like looking at things and you're like, yeah, my mom is a narcissist, like, ugh, and then you like go down that rabbit hole, or like, yeah, the world is terrible. Oh, look, there's evidence that the whole world's burning up and it's on fire. Like, you reinforce negativity on social media because social media was made to be an addictive platform. And it's not addictive like drinking water or like meditating. It's like literally like these tiny little dopamine hits that they've deep dived psychologically to keep you engaged in the app. And so self-love is saying, I'm not going to get on social media because I don't fucking feel great right now. I'm going to stare at the tree instead. I'm going to grab my journal. And I found this, I think I shared it a little bit ago. I saved it, and I shared it a little bit ago. And it was, trying to remember the quote, but it was basically, I shared it on my story in my Instagram. And it was like, if you have time to, scroll social media, feel bad about yourself, or bitch, or whatever, I don't know, feel like shit, you also have time to journal, to meditate, to write down a list of goals, and, to change one small habit, something along those lines. Right. And I had saved it and I shared it a while ago because that's the fucking truth. That's self-love. Self-love is saying, I don't want to be a victim. I want to be a conscious creator. I don't want life to happen to me. I want life to happen for me. And so if you want life to happen for you, you have to love yourself enough to choose the thing that's different. So in that moment yesterday, when I'm not feeling good, I can continue on that feel like shit, avoid trying to change it, avoid trying to feel better. Or I can just acknowledge that, like, today's not a great day to be productive. Today is not the day to write the emails. Today is not the day to sit and scroll social media. Today is the day to really pause and be like, what do I need? What do I need? What do I want? And then it's like, after I'm sitting there, I'm drinking this cider, I'm looking at the oak tree, I'm just like not being productive. Like, I could have been training the horses. I could have been, cleaning their poop. I could have been doing a million things with the farmhouse. Like, I could have been doing emails. And instead I sat down and I was like, what is my life? Like, what do I want my life to look like? Nigel and I are looking, I'm like, do I want to buy a hotel? Do I want to, push this other business prospect or this business idea? Do I want to push that down the line? Like, what do I want my life to look like? And what I gave myself yesterday was the permission to get curious about, like, okay, if we buy this hotel, what's my life going to look like? And I kind of like played it out a little bit. And then I was like, okay, if I push this other business, that I've like ran up to brick walls as fast as I fucking can, hitting them as square in the face. If I push that other business idea, what's that going to look like? Or like, how about right now? Like, does right now feel okay? And what I came to the conclusion is like, yeah, this is pretty fucking sweet. It's pretty sweet that on a Monday, I don't usually take clients on Mondays, so I don't have any coaching calls. Sometimes I meet with my team. Most of the time I'm just on my phone or on my laptop, but I can be flexible. I could go horseback riding. I can play with my horses. The farmhouse project, kind of like those loose ends are getting tied up. And so it's like things are slowing down. Ruby's back in school. Blanca's feeling better. The animals are starting to like not need 911 care anymore. Nigel's business is in a really good spot. And so it's like, do we need to chase the next thing, or do we just need to breathe? I think it's really easy because both Nigel and I are like just obsessed with business, and we're always like, okay, what's the next business thing that we can do? What's the next passive income? We're always trying to build that bigger dream and that long-term vision, which I think is really important to hold on to. But like sometimes you gotta just stop and love yourself and love how far you've come. And so I found myself just sitting there being like, I don't really need to push any agenda right now. Not right now. Not today. Probably not this week. Probably not in the month of September. I probably can just like enjoy the fruits of my labor. And then I was like, I need to go to yoga. I want to go to yoga. I've been slacking on going to yoga. There's a noon class I love to go to. I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to bust my ass and go to yoga. So self-love is slowing down. Self-love is cultivating an awareness around who am I and what am I doing all this for? If you are pushing and you're building and you're creating this dream and you're really striving for something, motherfucking go. Go, go, go. Get her done. I love that for you. But also, don't bypass the celebration of like, oh my God, the things I have now, I was praying for a month ago, a year ago, a week ago. And don't forget that this moment has to be enough. Otherwise, the next thing won't be enough either. And you'll constantly be on that hamster wheel. So self-love is really figuring out how to be okay with what is right here, right now. Can this moment be enough? And the answer for me yesterday was yeah. This moment, drinking my cider at my farm, looking up at the oak tree in the front yard, this 100-plus-year-old house, all this history, all these animals, all these people who need something from me. Fuck, how lucky am I to be needed, to be loved so much that everyone wanted me back in their present. Right? Because Ruby she just was like, where are you? Or when are you coming home? You told me we would watch Wednesday. Are we still watching Wednesday? I want to watch Wednesday with you. We're rewatching Wednesday on Netflix. So what's self-love to you? You have to cultivate these definitions for yourself. And I say this all the time to clients. What's your definition of success? What's your definition of self-love? What's your definition of wealth? What's your definition of joy and happiness? Like, we have to start getting to know ourselves, and you should be able to answer these questions pretty rapidly. Like, if we did a rapid fire thing, would you be able to tell me quickly what your definition of wealth, success, well-being, love, joy, fun, freedom? Like, what are your values? Can you tell me your definition? Not your mom's definition, not your dad's definition, not your Aunt Mary Jane's, not your partner's, not your boss's, not your grandma, not your fucking dog's. Your definition. And most people can't answer that question because they've never taken enough time to get to know themselves. That's self-love. getting to know yourself. Yeah, I still want a hotel. Like, that's my long-term dream. That's been my dream forever. And we're finally in a position where I can fucking look at the listings and be like, is that the one? But you gotta slow down enough. Otherwise, I'm just gonna buy the wrong hotel, do the wrong thing, and be like another hamster on a wheel trying to like do what? Where am I going? Get curious about who you are. Take care of yourself. Learn to love yourself. What's the simple things? You know, I led this class. Actually, I've done a couple of them through COVID. We did a bunch of trainings, the company I used to work for. So I did a bunch of trainings about, you know, how to effectively communicate as a team. I also, you know, did like self-care stuff because obviously we're going through COVID. And so one of my favorite things, and this was like the number one takeaway for majority of people who did attend these workshops and events, was a simple joy list. Like, so we're doing this workshop, I'm doing this whole presentation, how to take care of yourself, how to create harmony in the workplace, you know, how to strike that work life. I'm not going to say balance because I hate that word, but how to strike that, you know, work from home and life balance, you know, harmony, because that was the period when everybody's at home. So all the kids are there, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's struggling. And so one of the workshop tools was to make a simple joy list. Like, what are the simple things that bring you joy? I'm going to tell you what mine is right now. Ice water. I used to hate ice. And I didn't really know why I hated ice until I got curious about it. And then I learned I actually really like ice water. Dogs are going crazy, probably because the mailman dropped off the mail. And Franklin's probably now eating it. He loves to eat the mail. So, simple joy list. What do you love? What brings you joy? Putting your feet in the grass. I love putting my feet in the grass. Looking up at the stars. Like, there are nights where I really want to go to bed, but in the summer, man, oh man, I love stargazing. So I'm going to stargaze. What brings you joy? Laughter, funny movies, reading a book, calling a good friend. Blanca, come here. Come here, baby. It's okay. It's just a mailman. Yeah, it's okay. Come here. What brings you joy? What makes you happy? What's your simple joy list? I really think that the world gets better. Things start to change. You will heal when you start to understand who you are. What do you need? But when you're living unconsciously and you're just doing things because, you're going to get lost. And you're going to not know yourself. So self-love is knowing yourself enough. You know, I think in the most recent form of self-love for me, outside of just like being innately aware of where I'm at, you know, energetically, physically, mentally, right? Like, not everyone can have like, you know, the like feel good all the time, right? You're gonna have dips. Like, there are gonna be moments where you're gonna go into victim mode, where you're gonna go into lack, where you're gonna go into scarcity. The goal is that you're building a practice that can help self-sustain, and it can get you, you know, further along on your path to where you need to be, right? So it's rare for me to go into victim mode, but it happens because I'm still human, I'm still healing, right? But what's happening now is like I know myself enough to know what rooms I shouldn't enter because it's going to take me backwards on where I'm going. And there are certain situations that I have to say no to. And old me that didn't know myself, that didn't know what self-love was, that couldn't define what freedom and my money definition, my wealth definition, where I'm going, what I'm creating, why I'm doing all these things. I would have said yes to situations that were a no. And so being radically in love with yourself is understanding what's not for you, what rooms you shouldn't enter, and being willing and capable. Self-love is being able to say no and not do it for someone else. No people pleasing. Like, that's self-love. Damn, I love myself so much that I chose not to participate in something that was going to do me harm. So you talk about do no harm. Don't do harm to you. Say no. If showing up to a certain family gathering is going to do you harm, you need to say no. And you need to do the work to be healed enough to have meaningful conversations with those people, if you can. You know, I have a client who's working on some deep shit. And right now it's a no. But the goal is for it not to be a no. A no. Family gatherings, right? So right now it's a no because she's not stable. She hasn't built her foundation enough, right? And so to build her foundation, she's kind of hermiting. She's retreating a little bit because she's got to heal and she's got to get to know herself and she's got to create that foundation. What is that foundation? And once she has that, then she can re-enter the rooms. There was a period with my family where it was like, it's a no. It's a no. I can't. I don't have the capacity because it doesn't fucking feel good. And so now I'm very aware. And I really, you know, like, it's a bummer. It's a bummer, but like, that's where I'm at. And I love myself enough to say I'm worthy of protecting my peace. I'm worthy of soothing my wounds, attending to them, healing them. And then if and when I'm ready, that door can open back up. And for me, you know, it's opened back up, but it took a long time. I mean, maybe even a year or more. But I like gave myself permission to discover what that looked like. And it's not fun, you guys. Like, learning to love yourself isn't fun because people want something from you all the time, and they're not going to understand when you start to change, when you start to say no, when you start to be like, I don't really want to do that. You know, they're going to be like, wait, what? You always used to. And it's like, yeah, I used to, and now I don't, right? Like, this is that like chronic, you know, going from being an alcoholic or going from, you know, being addicted to X, Y, and Z. Like, choose your addiction. This is that person who's like, I'm no longer going to be addicted to X, Y, or Z. And you start to change habits and people don't understand because they're like, but you used to. And that's the key. I used to, and now I don't, because I'm creating something different, because I see a vision. I have goals. And one of them is to take care of myself, choose myself, know myself. So I'm in practice mode right now. I'm practicing what it would be like if I'm not addicted to X, Y, and Z. Self-love. How can you love yourself today? How can you choose yourself today? Here's what I know to be true. No one's choosing me first. No one. Absolutely no one is choosing me first. So I'm getting butthurt. I'm getting stomped on. I'm getting, you know, guilted or shamed because I'm not choosing other people first. But no one's choosing me first. Interesting, isn't it? If no one's choosing me first, then how the fuck do I survive? Why do we wait until death is knocking on our door to take care of ourselves or have those difficult conversations? Like, how many death-defying talks do we have because we get a life-threatening illness put in front of someone we love, or maybe even in front of ourselves, and then we have difficult conversations? Don't wait. Deal with it now. Live the most beautiful, abundant life now. Change one small habit today. And that one small habit can be choose yourself. Choose yourself. What do you need? How do you love yourself a little bit more today? Okay, I'm going to give you a few books that I love, 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 love. They're big recommendations. Sorry, my earring is bugging my ear here. Okay. They're big, big, big recommendations in the work that I do with my private clients. And for those of you who are still here listening, I'm going to give those away to you. So the first one I would recommend, if you are learning what self-love is, what that means, acceptance, would be Tara Brach's Radical Acceptance. Okay. She's, it's a really old book, but it's really, really, really effective and beautiful. So, Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach. Okay, the next one would be, where is it? I can picture it. Oh, My Body, or The Body is Not an Apology by Sonia Renee Taylor. That book had me crying in the foreword. So good. Definitely one I'm going to read again. If you're new to personal development, start with The Mountain Is You by Brianna West. And another book that I super think is really, it's also kind of old, but it's really good. It's by Marianne Williamson, A Return to Love. And it's all about, it's all about the self, you guys. Those books are just like where you can get beautiful touch points. What I think you should do today is 1, make a simple joys list. 2, pause and get to know yourself for 2 minutes. Just start there. 2 minutes. Check in. Do like a quick body scan. Check in with yourself. And 3, decide where you're going. I meet with clients all the time and it's like, okay, so like, what's the goal? Where are you headed? Like, what's this like? If you got there and this happened, everything falls into place. Life is beautiful. Boom, boom, boom. Bada bing, bada bum, bada done. If you don't know where you're headed, you're living unconsciously and you're on a hamster wheel and you're just going through the motions. So stop going through the motions. Sit down. Maybe it's just a 30-day vision. Maybe it's 60 days. Maybe it's 90 days. Maybe it's 1 year. Maybe it's 5 years. Maybe it's 10 years. But where are you headed? Nigel and I sit down all the time and come to the table of like, okay, especially, this summer, it's like we got fire season. It is a 60 to 90 day hustle of fire season. Head is down. We are working. We're on the phone and we may or may not see each other. It might be high fives in passing some days. That's like because there's a goal. Because at the end of fire season, all we're going to do is stare at each other. So have goals and come together with your partner and your people to know what your goals are, right? So that you're working on them and that you're doing things together and that you're building that long-term vision together. I know where we're going in 10 years from now. And so it's like, all right, cool. Some days are going to be like a fast, hard hustle to get there. And other days it's going to be kind of chill and slow. There might not be a whole lot of action. I think one of the biggest acts of self-love you could ever do is not do anything. Hang out with yourself. Get to know yourself. That is definitely one of the best gifts I ever gave myself was when I went to my 10-day Vipassana retreat and I had nothing to do except for sit with myself. Very confronting. You learn a lot about yourself when you're at a 10-day silent retreat, meditating, not talking, no books, no phone, no journal, no nothing. Literally me, myself, and I, whatever clothes I packed, I could shower, I could meditate, and I could lay in my bed. It's very confronting. But you know what? I really like the person who left that retreat. And I'm really proud of her. All right. So self-love, hot topic. I think the world heals when we choose this, when we do this. And, every day gets a little better because you choose something new. So keep breaking up those little habits, keep stacking, keep adding. You're doing amazing. I'm so proud of you. And you know what? There's a version of you a year from now who's super fucking proud of you. So keep going. All right, y'all. See you on the next critical conversation.